Hey, Richard Knudsen here again, and in this presentation I want to show you how to create what's known as a many-to-many relationship in Dynamics CRM 2011. I've recorded previous videos on how to do this in Dynamics CRM 4.0, and conceptually it's very similar, but to execute this is significantly different and much easier in Dynamics CRM 2011 than 4.0. I'm going to take the approach here that's referred to as a manual many-to-many relationship, and as you'll see, it actually consists of two one-to-many relationships, and I promise that it's a lot easier than it sounds like it might be if this is your first time that you've been exposed to something like this. I'm going to use as an example my Dynamics CRM online organization that you see me in here, but it works the same for on-premise, and the functional area that I'll do we'll use associations and memberships and contacts. So I'm going to use the built-in contact record type that we're looking at right here, and I'm going to create two custom entities, association and membership, and there's going to be a many-to-many relationship between contact and associations. So conventional understanding is correct in this case. You want a single contact to be able to be a member of several associations, and each association should in turn be able to have many contacts as members. That's a many-to-many. But I'm going to use, as you'll see, the so-called intersection entity. That's the membership entity, and I'll create two one-to-manys from contact to membership and from association to membership. So let's get started. The first thing I'll do is I'll create the two custom entities that we'll work with. So we'll go to Settings, Customizations. I'll click Customize the System, and I'm going to create these in the so-called default or unmanaged solution. If you're into solution management, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, maybe I'll be able to tell you in a different video. But I'm going to go ahead and create two custom entities here. So I click on Entities, click New, and create the association entity right now. I'll give it a display name and plural name, expose it in the workplace, and click Save. And when it's created, I'll just observe that for the purposes of this demonstration, I don't even need to add any fields to this. So I'm pretty much done with the association entity. So I'll save and close that. And I want to create my membership entity here. So I'll click New once more. I'll give this an appropriate display name and plural name. Expose this in the workplace. Click Save. And to illustrate the points I want to illustrate here, the membership entity does need some custom fields, which is the whole point of adding this so-called intersection or junction entity. So I'll click on Fields. And here's all the system fields that get added to it automatically by the system. I'll click New and add a few more fields that would be characteristic of a membership. We'll call the first one Start Date, and we'll give it a type of date and time. Choose date only. Click Save and New. We'll add one more. End date. So I want to keep track of sort of the duration of a member's membership in this association. I'll do one more. Call this one membership fee. Give it a data type of currency. Then I'll do a save and close, and that's really all I need in terms of custom fields in the membership entity for now. So now what we want to do is publish all of these customizations, and then I'll show you how we'll use the form designer to create the relationships between the membership entity and the two other entities involved in this, the triad of entities involved in our many-to-many relationship done the so-called manual way. So I'm going to click Publish All Customizations. And when that's done, I'll save and close and I'm going to refresh the browser. And after refreshing, you click on the workplace. You should be able to scroll down and I'll see the associations and memberships, custom entities now added in this extensions section. And I'm going to work from the membership form. Now in Dynamics CRM 4.0, what we had to do was drill down through entity customizations and into the relationships and create the one-to-many relationships from all the entities involved, so forth. But in Dynamics CRM 2011, I don't need to do that. I'll just work from memberships. And this is a pretty cool trick. I can use the in-place customization on form. So all I do is click New to add a new record. I just want to get the form up. And now I'm going to do two things. I'm going to first add the fields to the membership form. I'll customize the form to do that. And then I'll create the relationships between membership and the other two entities involved in this. Show you how that works. So I'm going to give myself some room there. Click Customize. Customize the form. So I'm now customizing the form. Here are the fields that I created, things like end date, and I'm just going to drag those out here one by one. Drag and drop. There's end date. There's the membership fee. There's start date. We'll sort of do it like that. Give myself a little bit more room here. And if I wanted to add status and status reason out here, I could do that, but to illustrate the point that we want to do, let's maybe just put those, let's just leave those for now. Okay, so I've got my form, but how do I create relationships how do I exploit relationships in order to create the so-called many-to-many? Remember, what we want to do is create a many-to-many from contact to association, neither of which is on this form. This is the membership form. But what I can do is create a new field, and this is going to be a lookup field from membership to contact. That's going to give me my one-to-many from contact to membership. So I'll use the display name, and this is the display name of the lookup field. I'm going to call this member, because as you'll see from the context of the membership form, a contact record will be a member. But this is going to be a lookup, so I choose lookup, and I look up against the contact record type. And I'm going to do this. It's my standard convention. I'll just get rid of all the other schema name prefixes and whatnot, just use the one. So this is going to give me my lookup to contact. So effectively it's a one-to-many from contact to membership. Do a save and close. When it's created, you can see that it puts that lookup field over here in the Field Explorer. And I'm going to now repeat the process, only this time use the new field button there and create the relationship between membership and association. So this will be a lookup, looking up association, accept all the rest of the defaults. Now when this is done, we'll have two one-to-many relationships, one from contact to membership, one from association to membership. And we can drag and drop those fields out on the form. And I'm going to put them right here, front and center. So there's the association. The member will go right below it. There's the membership fee. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks that I like in Dynamics CRM 2011. Suppose the owner field isn't that important. This is a user-owned entity, so this thing is required. You can't delete it from the form. On the other hand, I can double-click it, and I can simply make it not visible by default. So at runtime, that thing won't show up. I'll rearrange this a little bit. Bring the start date up and date up. Now, what about this name field? It doesn't really play any role here, although it might have a name like membership for Richard Knutson in Association B or something like that. But what I can do, the name field by default is required, but what I can do is open it up in the form, click details, and this is pretty cool. I can click edit here. It's a fairly well hidden feature, but I can actually go right from Form Designer into the field definition and change the requirement level to no constraint. So that's kind of a nice thing, and it might not be obvious when you're first working with that. So now let's move that down a little bit. Oops, a little too far. Move it right here, and let's give it something like notes, so to de-emphasize the importance of that. So you'll see an intersection entity like this membership is, a lot of times the name isn't that important because it's the association and the member that really define this thing. So I'm going to do a save and close and publish, and at this point we're really done. We've got the many-to-many relationship established with this intersection entity, and what I'm going to do now is work on my own for a little bit. I'm going to enter some information so you don't have to watch me do data entry, and then I'll show you how this all hangs together and how it works. Okay, I've entered some data. I've got members and associations, and I wanted to walk you through this and take a look at this, sort of explain why this turns out to be a many-to-many relationship, as we discussed, between contact and association, and point out some of the benefits that you get if you take this so-called manual approach. So remember what the manual approach consisted of is it's two one-to-manys, one from association to membership and one from contact to membership. That gives us the many-to-many. So if I open up an association record in its form, you'll be able to see that. So here's association 1. If I click on memberships, here are the membership records for association 1. So you can see association 1, several records, and you see Adrian Dumitrosky's and member in good standing. Let's go look at association 2. Similarly, we open the form for association 2. Click on the many side of memberships. So Dumitrosky's here as well, but there's somebody different. Marco Tanara's a member here, but maybe he's not a member of 1. So on and so forth. Let's go and look at this from the context of the contact record. So we go to Dumitrosky. He's a joiner. He's in a few of these associations. From the contact record, we click on membership. So once again, we have the one-to-many from the parent to the child. In this case, it's contact to membership. So here we see Dumitrosky. This contacts memberships in all the different associations. And we could repeat the process for a different contact. We go to George Sullivan's contact record, open the form, click on memberships. He's in association 3 only. So that's looking at it from the context of the parent records. But now let's drill down to this intersection record. That is, in this case, the membership record type, and here it's probably more obvious than anywhere else what you get, what the benefit is of using this intersection entity, this manual many-to-many relationship approach in the first place. For one thing, we have records here. In the native many-to-many approach, if I simply create a many-to-many relationship using the relationship dialog in Dynamics CRM 2011, if I do that between contact and association, we get the many-to-many relationship, but we don't get this. So we wouldn't be able to, for instance, have start date and end date about their membership. Certainly wouldn't be able to track anything about different membership fees that people might pay. So this is a pretty good illustration of it. And of course, in Dynamics CRM 2011, one of the benefits of having a record type for this is I can track information and and create visualizations for it. So here's my membership count by association. I just created a custom chart on the membership record type, and I can see at a glance here that Association 3 has 4 members and so on and so forth. I could do one-click drill down, so if I click on Association 3, I implicitly filter by that association. I can unapply the filter and refresh the chart. And remember, I've got membership fees here in this column, so if I want to do something other than sort of take a guess at it, I can, of course, create a chart for that. So here's a chart that I've created, membership fee by association. So those are some of the benefits that we get from having an entity here, record type. Another thing that I mentioned in the article that I wrote on this topic in my blog was that if you've got this record type, you can create workflows for it. I've got a workflow that I created, and you can see that here in the Processes Center, the new membership workflow. And what this does is it runs automatically when a membership record is created, and I'll show you in a minute the actual results of this. It names, it gives the uses a standard naming convention and uses information from the two parent record types, contact and association, to give these membership records standard names. It's kind of a good use of a workflow for something like this. And again, this is only possible because I've got this intersection entity, so it can do things like respond to workflows. So what I want to do now, show you one final little trick with this that's made possible by having this intersection entity. And what I'll do to illustrate this is just open up the form, and I'm going to further customize this form a little bit and build out some of the business logic of this, just to show you how easy this is in Dynamics CRM 2011. So I'm going to go to Customize, customize the form, and let's suppose what I want to do is I want to make association and member required. So if the whole purpose of this membership is to track a contact's membership in an association, they might as well be required. So I'm just going to double click the form or the field association. Then we click on details and drill through the details tab, click edit. Let's edit the field properties here and make that required. So again, this is a big time saver compared to how we can do that in Dynamics CRM 4. This is much easier in Dynamics CRM 2011, so we've made that required. We'll do the same thing, remember, details, edit, and we'll make that required. Now, I'll show you one more thing that really illustrates the productivity of this new customization user experience here, and that is to customize not just something about the field, the lookup field that is behind these one-to-many relationships from association and member, association and contact respectively to membership, but we're actually going to customize the relationship behavior. So I'm going to do this again, drill through the field. So here's the lookup field, go into details, click edit. Here's the lookup field properties. We were here a minute ago, but now notice what you can do here. Edit relationship detail. Don't be afraid that it says it's advanced. It's actually not that bad. Probably should plan this out in advance. But this dialog here describes the properties of the relationship, this one-to-many relationship from association to membership. Notice that by default it's got a type of behavior of referential. So this means that any change made to the parent record, the association record in this case, does not cascade down to membership. So you notice all these cascade none. So for example, if we delete the association record, notice the behavior is remove link here. So that means we'll have orphan records. So if you're concerned about orphan records, you want to prevent that, you might want to change this, and you can certainly do this here. So let's choose parental. Now again, this is a business decision. I'm not saying that all one-to-many relationships from association to membership type entities need to be parental, but this illustrates the point. I can change the relationship behavior right from within the child record type form membership here. So I'll make this parental, and this is going to restrict me from, actually what this will do is it will, if I delete an association record, if I've got permissions to do that, it'll delete all of the associated membership records. So we won't have any orphan records out there. So I'll save and close that. And I'll save and close the field type. And I'll go ahead and save these changes. And when they're saved, I can publish them. Save and close. And to close out, I'll navigate back to Contacts. I'll open up a contact record and just illustrate the process of entering one of those membership records, which we haven't seen that bit yet. So here I am with contact record. Click on memberships. I can see that Yvonne McKay is in association 1 and 3, not yet in 2. She wants to join up. So we create a new membership record. Here's the requirement that we've imposed now on the association and member lookups. So I'll go ahead and indicate that she's interested in joining association 2. Go here, give her a start date and a membership fee. Save and close. Now here we are back on the membership associated view, and if you were wondering what that workflow did that I created on the that runs on the create event of the membership record type, it's the thing that imposes this naming convention on that name field. So this is one of my observations. It takes a minute to run, so I'll refresh that in a second. You'll see that refresh. But one of my little tips for the intersection entity is that it's the lookup fields that really contain most of the information that you want. The name field a lot of times doesn't mean that much. So what I like to do is have a workflow like the one that runs in the background here that simply enforces a naming convention. Again, it's not the name so much that matters, it's those two lookup fields. That is the many-to-one relationship from the membership entity to each of those two parent entities that collectively creates the many-to-many between association and contact. So that is about as thorough a discussion of many-to-many relationships the manual way as I have time for in a video like this. And I am Richard Knudsen signing off, and I hope you found this helpful.